Alinsky destroyer. What Kurtz found is that Obama had done his senior thesis on being a peacenik. He was interested in international relations, disarming the United States, and all of a sudden he changes course and decides to become a community organizer. And Kurtz argues that it was at these conferences where that was the vision that was being put forth for any upright socialist. And they were excited because that first conference in April of '83 was held just a couple of months after United States Representative Harold Washington had won the primary in Chicago to be mayor of the city, and the Socialists and the Communist Workers' Party were just ecstatic that this guy had won, and it had been a victory based on the kind of campaigning that Saul Alinsky talks about, organizing and radicalizing blacks, the poor, Latinos, different groups, because the left thinks in terms of groups, which actually means a racist way of thinking. Those of us on the right look at people as what your views are. People on the left look at you as what group do you belong to. They're collectivists down to their basic way of looking at people.
They really hate people like me. My nickname for many years was Loner, and you know, it's like the Homeland Security is targeting individuals, you know.
Yeah, anybody that disagrees with them, basically, anybody that disagrees with the president is being targeted. And that's out of the Saul Alinsky playbook, too. What Kurtz has found is that the socialists know that their views are rejected by the people in this country. And so it is something that they have to conceal from the people that they are socialists. And one of the main ways they conduct themselves is through personal attack, because that is their way of trying to get a discussion off of the issues and onto, you're a racist, you're a crook, you're a this, you're a that. Anything that they can do to swing the debate off of the fact that they are trying to build a totalitarian society on the rubble of this country or any country that they would destroy first in order to build their socialist tyrannical paradise. And that is what Obama was being schooled in even while he was at Columbia University. We don't have his records they've been sealed from college, and some have suggested that maybe they're sealed because it would reveal that he was an affirmative action applicant and admitted on that basis. But I think perhaps more likely the records were sealed because it would show what a hard leftist the president has been, whether it be Occidental or at Columbia or at Harvard Law School a few years later. But when he graduated from Columbia shortly after the Socialist Scholars Conference, he stayed in New York for, I guess it was about a couple of years, and so he could have attended. Kurtz thinks that he did attend these Socialist Scholars Conferences those other 2 years, and certainly the next year following for sure. But also, interestingly, in New York at the same time, working as some kind of social worker, was William Ayers, the fellow that, a communist, a self-described communist, who the morning of the attack on the World Trade Center had published a column in the New York Times saying he was sorry that he hadn't blown up more things, that he hadn't done enough. He was the unrepentant bomber. And this guy was floating around New York. I don't know whether Kurtz gets into it because I'm just beginning the book, but my suspicion is that Ayers would have been likely to have attended the Socialist Scholars Conference, and that's probably the first time that Obama got to meet the guy. But, I had wondered for a long time, how did a guy who had been born supposedly in Hawaii and lived in Indonesia and then gone to school in California and New York, how did he end up in Chicago? Well, there was this excitement by the socialists and the communists that Harold Washington had won using these community organizing techniques. And my guess is that even if he never had met Bill Ayers until he moved out to Chicago, where Ayers ended up shortly after he'd worked as a social worker in New York City. Ayers' daddy was a millionaire in Chicago, and Bill Ayers, who said, as a radical in his younger days, kill your parents, he was on Daddy's dole all of Daddy's life. No good, bum. And kill your parents, but cash the allowance check.
It's interesting. You brought up a point that I just want to latch on a little bit to. The whole 9/11 thing